Hi, welcome along to the Industry Talk, a show brought to you by Wonder Publishing Magazine. And I'm your host, Shubham Tiwari. And today we have with us someone very special, publishing industry mammoth with experience over 46 years, the former president of the Federation of Publishers and Booksellers Association in India, Mr. Kailash Balani. Mr. Kailash Balani currently heads organizations like Balani Infotech and Infotech iGroup, Infotech, Aditya Books, A to Z Teaching and Learning Solutions, Global Music Academy, and among others. So, and he's also a member of, the publishing committee at the FICCI. So, welcome, Mr. Balani. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Shubham. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, sir, let's start from the what we are seeing nowadays, the pandemic. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? What will become of the publishing industry once the normalcy starts rolling in?
Well, see, publishing industry has always delivered good, whether in wars or otherwise, or in good times. So I think even in COVID, publishers have been very generous. They have most of the publishers who had content available digitally, and they had these platforms where they could serve their, communities like universities or individual students. They were so generous, they have been generous in the last few months that they have opened up access freely to all the major institutions in India and perhaps in other parts of the world. So publishers have always helped during any such situations. Yeah. And even now they are helping.
So, as we see, this is a worldwide problem, and
Yes.
we know you as a person who has represented India on various forums when it
Yes.
comes to industrial activities, particularly publishing. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? What's specific about India's position, and where do you see, like, is it an advantageous position in any way possible to move ahead?
Yes, so I think the position of India is, advantageous definitely, even minus the COVID, because we have large population, or 50% of the population is under 25. So education is a thrust area, and recently there was a new education policy which has just been released, and it talks a lot about the growth of education, growth of the knowledge that each one of us is going to acquire in the next 20, 30 years. So I think that's a very good move. So India has always been in the forefront of education. And now with the current government putting more emphasis on education, they've released this policy, and obviously implementation is there, which I'm sure they will do. So this is going to take, miles ahead, the education that we have as of today. And publishers are also looking at it to, really take benefit out of this situation. Also the COVID, yes, publishers have learned a lot during this time, how to deliver, their content, how to create a new content. So in a way, it is good learning, for the publishing industry. Yes.
So you talk about the new education policy and other policies. So do you think, sir, the support is there for the publishing industry?
Well, see, industry definitely will support, but also the first thing has to come from the government. Now, government has a vision that, okay, we will have growth of gross enrollment ratio from 25% to 50%. How are we going to do that? Obviously, we need more institutions of higher education standards. They have to create new institutions. If they create new institutions, they will need universities, colleges, libraries. So obviously, the funding is needed to really, take this forward. So depending on the money availability, publishers, of course, when the growth of students increases, if there's a growth in the number of students, obviously the publishers would also produce, keeping in mind those, subject areas. Now, government has also said that even engineering institutes should have, courses of social sciences, psychology, humanities, and vice versa. So obviously there'll be a lot of intermix of education at IIT or at Delhi University. So obviously they will need more teachers, more skills. So in a way it is very positive, and publishers are, of course it's too early because the policy has just come, but publishers have already started analyzing it and how they can deliver, and support the government in this, vision. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, sir, we've also seen that the Federation of Publishers and Booksellers Association in India has written multiple letters addressing to the PM.
Yeah.
So how has been the response so far? Like, what has
Well, see
been
the
the response? Yeah,
so for example, PM. Yes, we do approach PM because he's the head of the country, and then obviously he would not answer directly. He would forward it to the concerned ministry, which he has been
correct,
doing, and obviously the ministries have taken all the points into consideration. Some points are still lagging behind, or they are maybe under consideration, but we have not been informed of those. For example, GST was a major issue which they introduced a year and a half ago, where if somebody purchases e-books or e-journals, there will be a GST applicable for the university or for the end user to pay to publisher, and then publisher goes back to the government and pays back this money. Now that has increased the cost of operation for publisher, that you're collecting money from the government and you're giving it back to the government. And then in
correct,
some cases, for example, some universities are exempt from paying GST to the publisher, but publisher is not exempt from paying GST to the government. Now that is a very lopsided law, that you are not collecting GST, but you are supposed to pay GST of 18%. You may not be making 18%, but you are forced to pay 18%. So we have raised these questions with GST authorities and with the ministry, and I'm sure these things take time. It's not that
correct,
overnight they will just do it just because we've written a letter. I think they need to sit in the parliament and really bring this up and then get an approval. So but
correct.
yes, from our point of view, from to support our community, the federation does help and write to concerned authorities, and that's our job. And we keep pursuing on it, and things do happen, things do change also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. So, how do you look at the role of technology in this, sir? Because we have seen the growth of ad tech platforms,
Yeah.
the kind of funding they are getting from the multinational companies. So,
Yes.
how do
Yes.
you
Yeah.
see the ad tech, specifically ad tech, helping publishing out?
Yeah, so I think that has been a boon for the publishing industry, because as publishers, we don't have technology, we have content.
Correct.
Now, we don't really know how to deliver that, and we don't want to create a technology for ourselves, because that's a different game. So
Yep.
obviously, these edtech companies have been very helpful in this last, not only because of the COVID, in the last 4 or 5 years, because everything is getting into digital format. So these edtech companies have played a major role in helping publishers to help them deliver their content. So definitely, and in future, yes, because of the COVID and otherwise, all the young generation and looking at the technology availability, everybody is hooked to digital. Everybody wants to see things on a mobile or a laptop. Even young kids who are just 4 years old, they are hooked to mobile phones.
True.
So
Yep.
in a way, it is good, yes, that at least imagine if there was no edtech available during COVID, there would have been no
Absolutely.
education at all.
Yeah.
At least now, with edtech companies support and with the other platforms, you are able to reach students at home. So that has been a good thing, definitely. Yeah, and it's going to
Yep.
improve. And I think publishers will look at more into this direction, so that they are not taken by surprise that, oh, we have content but we are not able to deliver. So they are thinking, and they are
Correct.
slowly coming on board and talking to tech companies to have their content available, so that they are able to do business and sustain. Otherwise, they'll be vanished, finished forever if they don't do this. Yeah.
True, sir. But so speaking of content and the publisher specifically, we see that publishing is a very family-oriented business, because
Yes.
many of the publishing houses are in third generation, fourth generation businesses
Right.
and work on a very old model, if I
Yes.
use the word. So, sir, how do you think, as the content creators or the content owners, how do you see the innovation coming in a publishing house? AdTech can provide you the platform, but the content has to be in a
Yes.
presentable format for the new generation, right?
Right, right. So basically, what you're saying is true, because when India became independent and you needed, content, classroom materials, higher education, and for different sectors. So obviously, it was individuals who started, producing books. Some
True.
families had business in Pakistan, so they just migrated and started doing that. But because there was so much growth of the universities and the number of students, so a lot of family-owned businesses mushroomed. But now, with the technology and the way things are, it is becoming difficult for small and medium sized publisher to really sustain. So maybe some publisher may sell off themselves to larger publishers because they're not able to do it. In some cases, the person who was actually running a publishing house has passed away and his family is not interested because he was only having maybe 50 books all his life that he could produce from his pocket money, and then he was able to sustain that. So I think there'll be a lot of changes now that individual companies who are even quite good at size, for them to really run the business will be quite difficult, and they may surrender and sell it off their businesses to multinational companies, or they bring in loans or take loans, and also kind of educate themselves how to run this kind of a business, which is digital business, because they're very scared. For example,
I wanted to come to that point, sir.
They are very scared of sharing their content. For example, even 10 years ago, I went to a publisher, Indian publisher, very good publisher, very, very good publisher. They have fantastic books. They have at that time, they had 3,000 books on social science, humanities, religion, yoga, and all that. And I told them that, can you give me this content? I will make it in a digital format at my cost.
Correct.
And then whatever I sell, I give you 50% of the royalty, whatever is my collection. And you still own the copyright. Okay, I'm not taking away the copyright.
Right.
And I said, apart from this, once your 3,000 books are available on a digital platform, there could be that somebody wants a particular book published 30 years ago in a print form, so that you can actually will be able to print that book on a POD, print on demand, even one copy, and create additional revenue for yourself. But no, this didn't happen. He was so scared that I'm going to run away with his content. And then, because there was no vision to them, we explained to them that this is not that we are running away with the contract or the content, but they pushed it back. Now imagine having such a good content, it's lying. They don't even have some of those books in a print form. So the knowledge is gone. Books written by maybe Mahatma Gandhi or some other, celebrity or expert in Sanskrit or any other subject is gone forever, which is a shame, So I think Indian publishers are very scared of sharing or giving away content to these platforms. And if they don't do this, they will definitely vanish. Some who have started giving, they are doing excellent business. There is a visibility of them. And with the revenue that they generate, they are able to create more books.
Right. Yeah. So when we talk to publishers, predominantly when I, went out and talked to people, they are, you're correct. They seem to be, worried about telegrams and apps like these, where the content is being, replicated without authority and all. So what do you say to those publishers or content owners who are not particularly, premier publishers, to say, like they are in the secondary markets of competitive examinations? What do you say to them? Like
So the punchline there also is the same. Like, for example, they are scared that once they make their book digital, it will be available on different platforms. It's easy to email to somebody. But if you really look at print format, today I buy one copy, I can make hundreds of copies without paying a royalty, and people do it. Even as a student, suppose I buy one copy of a textbook and you are my class fellow and you say, okay, I need, photocopy of the 4 pages. I'll just make 4 photocopies and give it to you. Now, who's checking all this, So this is anyway happening. But once you have it on a digital platform, you are able to actually gauge, from which IP range this content was accessed. One can even track. Whereas in a print form, it's difficult to track. There is so much, piracy going on in India, so much, especially textbooks. Even the textbooks are priced so low, 300 rupees. Still, students don't want to pay 300 rupees. They would just photocopy 50, 60 pages of their interest and then done with it. So it is there. You can't avoid that, But they don't realize that they are losing in other way in a very big, kind of a, value that
we
they
can
are
go
losing,
around it. Correct.
Yes.
So sir, regarding again this content creation thing, how do you see the relation between authors and publishers changing?
Well, I think there's not much change in that, except that yes, there is a competition, and the reader has become more aware and more quality conscious. and because if you see in the last 10-15 years, a lot of foreign publishers have come to India and set up their offices in India, like Taylor Francis, Springer, Sage, Wiley. Now, and if I'm an Indian publisher, I have to, match their standards. If I don't match, then authors would not come to me. Also, there is always, as a psyche that if I'm writing a book, I want to get it published by a well-known publisher. Royalty becomes the second part, but I'm happy that, okay, my book is published by Wiley, who has international offices. Whereas if I publish it through Indian company, they have only one office in Noida or Delhi, and that's it. So that has also helped foreign publishers because it's a brand. You want to eat at McDonald's or Pizza Hut. You don't want to eat at ordinary place. So authors have also patronized these foreign publishers definitely because yes, they get good quality. The publishing, the content, the way it is published is in a good format, good paper, and obviously the publicity is done in a more systematic manner. And because they have offices abroad, then yes, even copies are sold in Australia, Germany, or other countries, whereas Indian publisher is not able to do that. So that's where. So obviously, if that happens, any good author would not come to me, but maybe author from a small institute who has been perhaps rejected by a foreign publisher may come and talk to me, or an author who's not very well known may come to any Indian publisher and say, okay, I want to get this published. So there is a divide in that, definitely.
There's a divide. And sir, speaking about these foreign publishers, these big names, the top five, when it comes to sir, these ebooks in ebooks grants, when we see in universities, most of the books are acquired by these from these foreign publishers. They provide these book bundles where they put in a lot of books from all around the world, centered around a subject. How do you see a domestic publisher competing with that? Do we need a market where we can put in bundles like that, or do we go along with them?
So basically, what has happened, because Indian publishers are small, most of them have 500 books or 1,000 books, current titles. Whereas if you look at Taylor Francis, McGraw-Hill, they have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 books which they have. Obviously, when you go to university and say, okay, they want to buy books on mathematics, they just don't want to buy one or two books. They want to buy the collection. And because they buy collections, so publishers says, okay, if you buy 5,000 books on particular subject, we give you at a lower price. So that has been going on for the last 10-15 years. But things are changing now because you buy 5,000 books, but you are reading only maybe 1,000 books. Of course, you're still paying a lower price, but then, why do you need read? So now and because the budgets, because you need so many other subjects now. So the library will think, okay, I have to satisfy all the departments. So I need to, kind of break the budget into 12 departments, 20 departments. So let me keep every department happy with whatever little money we have. So now they have decided, or they are changing the pattern, the librarians, that, okay, because I have a geography department, they must have some ebooks or e-journals there. We necessarily don't need to buy the whole package, So they are negotiating now with the publishers, and publishers are also changing themselves. Because initially when they came out with the ebooks, it was like a craze. Oh, my university has 20,000 books. My university has 100,000 ebooks. So it was a craze basically. And basis on that, publishers were also creating packages and giving at an affordable price. But now things are changing. Now even there are more models that you pay per use. That publisher will open access to, suppose somebody has 100,000 books, they will say, okay, we give access to all 100,000 books in the university, and we don't charge even a penny. But the moment a book is read by 10 people, that means you quantify that, okay, if somebody reads 10 pages of a book, that means it's one book copy, one sale. So if that book is read by 20 people, that means you pay 20 times whatever the price you set. So you pay per use, and that's again working out very well. But then the problem is with the budget, because universities need to allocate the budget. Now, end of the year, if publisher is okay, your books were read and here is the bill for 100,000 rupees or 1 crore, but they don't have money. So they are scared of this offer also,
Trying new
because
things. Yeah.
is the new thing, but it will happen slowly, where they can have control, where they can give limited access to, a particular student, that, okay, you are a chemistry student, so you have access to certain type of books. And if I'm a social science student, I have access to social science books, something.
Yeah.
But this facility is available that, okay, you pay per use,
Correct.
So that is
But
happening. So publishers are coming with different policies now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even Indian publishers you talked about. So some Indian publishers have now come up, they are offering their ebooks. If they don't have a platform, they are offering their books to outside platforms. Like, for example, you have a ProQuest company which aggregates. So there are many aggregators available.
Okay.
Who would then digitize your books and sell it themselves and pay you the royalty. So that is also working out very well. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. So these modes of delivery are changing, and there are new things out there. But sir, we see the number of titles are decreasing. Even before the the COVID set in, we see prestigious publishing houses going from figure 4-figure to 3-figure. Like books are coming down, even less than 1,000 titles they have. So how do we how do we match these things? Like the modes of deliverance are more nowadays, but the number of titles are dropping.
I don't think number of titles are dropping. Actually, the information that I have, actually they are publishing more titles, more variety of titles. So I don't have exact number now, but I think the numbers have gone up. Yes, some publishers may have reduced in publishing, some are finished or gone, but then the top 5 ones, if you look at it, their numbers are growing. Their numbers are growing. They are growing, but there's but small. Like I was a publisher. I stopped publishing because I couldn't sustain. So I said, okay, I am happy as a distributor. So I do not publish books anymore. I stopped doing that about 4-5 years ago. To a certain extent, I'm happy because somehow I didn't want to get into that line and wait for money to come in and manage small list of publishing was difficult actually. So I said, it's better that, I'm off. So that way, there are, like me, there may be, thousands of publishers who have gone forever. So it will be the survival of the fittest.
Yeah. And
so you have to deliver
tougher.
Quality tougher. Yes.
So sir, as you said, sir, after the partition, a lot of, things changed and a lot of people moved ahead, moved across the border. And I think you're one of those gentlemen who made those, transitions to family. So, sir, as a person who had to move across from his home, and now you have this, established yourself as the authority and you represent India all over the world. What do you have to say to, the people who are listening right now who are, eager to know what Mr. Balani is going to tell about what's ahead?
Yeah, so first of all, I did not migrate from Pakistan. I was born in India. My family migrated, and they were not into this business at all. Okay. No, nobody in the family had book business or a publishing business. So I accidentally, when you are young, you look for a job. You get a job in tire company or a pharmaceutical company or some kind of a business. And I got into publishing accidentally into Tata McGraw-Hill Publishing Company. And I liked the job, I liked the publishing industry, and I stayed there. Okay. And I worked for many publishers before I started my own company in 1987. That because I had so much experience and I thought I could do better, in terms of distribution of foreign books, because there was a problem and not many good vendors were doing that job at that time. So I thought there is a vacuum there, and I just started my company, Aditya Books, way back in 1987, and I had very good agencies with me, and then the business was grown. And then in 2000, I also added e-versions, because I was traveling so much that I realized that, the future is for digital, because all the foreign publishers were getting their books, digitized, so that they could be available as an e-format. So I thought then, print one day may reduce, and it's already reduced a lot. It may die also, especially I'm talking from higher education point of view. It is, my print business has really come down. and I don't blame anybody because the way things
Mm-hmm.
are, but my ebook business and e-journals has grown up, really very, big. So one
Yes.
way it is down, other way is up. But if I had not entered into e-business, I would have been dead, like a extinct or a,
You have to improvise,
dinosaur.
yeah,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
time.
So
Yeah,
you had to
correct.
think of future. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a distributor, I also I try to bring in, some new products for Indian market, so that, it's not just content. I want to even give away something else. So for example, 10 years ago, I uh, brought in India a product called Turn It In, which is a plagiarism check software, because there is
Yeah.
so much plagiarism going on
Yeah.
everywhere in publishing
Rampant. Yeah.
houses, with authors, with schools, and with everything. And initially that product, people were scared to use. They thought, oh, they are going to be caught, because this product
Yeah.
can immediately check. But then slowly, the way we taught universities, or, the tagline that we have, that this will actually improve your writing skills, and that helped. Now almost every university has that product, and universities are happy that we brought that product to them. So we also try and bring not just content, but even technology products. Like
Mm-hmm.
even
Mm-hmm.
5 6 years ago, we brought in remote access, because universities are buying a lot of or investing money on e-resources. Now what happens if Delhi University is closed for 2 months for summer vacation, or there is
Yeah.
a strike in the university? So if I
Mm-hmm.
don't go to the university library, I cannot read.
Yeah.
And then university has spent crores of rupees on e-resources. But
Yeah.
now if they have access, or if they are using remote access, their students can, sitting at home, can access their content
True.
anywhere in the world, so long as there is a, internet with that user.
True.
So that product is doing so well now that universities are using that product, because they're investing so much money on e-resources. They need this product. Whether university is closed or not doesn't matter. Now in COVID, you can imagine,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
there was a COVID and students are at home, they had
Yeah.
access to all the content which these universities
So
have
yeah.
remote access.
Yeah. So in a way, you foresaw this sort of
Yes,
events like COVID.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
so we bring such technologies to the universities time and again, so that we are also, front runner. They look at us that, okay, yes, Balani Infotech always comes up with something different than other
Yeah.
vendors.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. So yeah. So my initial question, like, if the
yeah.
people, because obviously it's a big name, Mr. Kailash Balani, it's a big name in industry. So people must be looking up to you for some words. Like, so do you have anything to say to the specifically to the publishing industry guys?
I think I'm always very positive. Even if there's a bad times, I've never looked at things and, oh, COVID aa gaya, so everything will be finished. No,
Correct.
whether it's a COVID as a war, I think there's an opportunity in these times actually to really, learn from this time, and then come out, with something new. If you look at Coursera, for example, a product
Yep.
which,
Yeah.
5 years ago nobody was touching it, now everybody
Yeah.
wants Coursera.
Yeah.
So something futuristic you have to bring in. So always be positive and find ways to sustain. And if you have a content, see, content is very important. So publishers are not going to die. Publishers will create content, content which is
Mm-hmm.
valuable, which is
Mm-hmm.
authenticated, content. And how they deliver is a different channel, different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
But content
Correct.
is a king even now, whether in a print form or in a digital format. So I think whether you are in a publishing or book distribution, there is a huge
Mm-hmm.
scope, because if you look at even the last 7 8 years, the number of universities have gone up. That
Mm-hmm.
has increased our business. You look at private universities, they have gone up.
Yeah.
Government is coming out with, universities having specialization or skills development. So that is a new area for us to really think of, that okay, if government
Mm-hmm.
is setting up skills university, how can publishers help those university or students studying there? So there is an opportunity again. So I think we have to keep our eyes and ears open,
Mm-hmm.
and then follow what is, you know the mandate, that okay, what is the feel you have when you read a newspaper
Mm-hmm.
and you read, something, and follow that line, you will be successful. It gives you a lot of leads.
Yeah. Yeah. So totally. And since we are, at the end of our,
Yeah.
episode, I would like to bring to the notice of everyone that Mr. Balani is very, good singer. He likes
Oh,
music, and his videos are everywhere on YouTube and
I
internet.
know. Well, first of all, my YouTube is very small, and I do it more socially. So I'm not into this
Yeah,
at all, and
yeah,
more
yeah,
of a
socially, yeah.
religious singing. But yes, I have two sons, and both of them are musicians. So
Okay,
Aditya Balani and Tarun Balani, they had
okay.
passion for music. They studied music. Then they studied
Wow.
music at the Berklee College of Music, Boston, and they wanted to come back and set up an institute here because there was, even today, there was no such institute where Indian students can go and learn jazz
Learn, yeah.
and contemporary music.
Formally, yeah, yeah, correct.
Yes, and then otherwise going to US is so expensive.
Yeah,
Even if you have
not
a
everybody
talent but
can do
you
that.
don't
Yeah,
have money, so what do you do
yeah.
then? So they had this vision that okay, once they come back, once they have the proper education,
Mm-hmm,
they would
mm-hmm,
set up an institute in India,
mm-hmm.
and we have done that. So we have a really large campus at Greater Noida, which is a
Yes, yes.
residential
Global
campus,
Music Institute. Yeah,
global music institute,
yeah.
and both teach there. And we every semester we have teachers from abroad who could
Wow.
be alumni of Berklee College of Music,
Mm-hmm,
Boston,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
they come from Colombia, they come from Italy, from all over the place. So I think it's a very we are very happy to be in the education sector also. So one
Correct,
way is
correct,
that we are into publishing, other way is that we are in education, giving back. So that's
correct,
so my
correct.
sons are definitely more into music, but not me so much. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if
Okay.
we had been in a public, setting and one-on-one kind of basis, I would have asked you to sing for us. But since it's
I
a,
would have done that. I would have done that. Thank
yeah,
you.
you can do it right now, sir, if you want. We would love to hear you something.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let me think what kind of a song I should sing. Okay, I'll sing a ghazal, which is I my favorite Jagjit Singh, and his
Awesome.
one of his very earliest ghazals, "Baat niklegi to dur talak
Wow.
jayegi." So maybe this also goes dur talak.
Yes,
So I'll
definitely.
sing few lines. Yeah. बात निकलेगी तो फिर दूर तलक जाएगी लोग बेवजह उदासी का सबब पूछेंगे ये भी पूछेंगे कि तुम इतनी परेशान क्यों हो उंगलियां उठेंगी सूखे हुए बालों की तरफ एक नजर देखेंगे गुजरे हुए सालों की तरफ चूड़ियों पर भी कई तंज किए जाएंगे
Yeah.
कांपते हाथों से भी फिक्रे कसे जाएंगे लोग जालिम है हर एक बात का ताना देंगे बातों बातों में मेरा जिक्र भी ले आएंगे उनकी बातों का जरा सा भी असर मत लेना वरना चेहरे के तासुर से समझ जाएंगे चाहे कुछ भी हो सवालात न करना उनसे चाहे कुछ भी हो सवालात न करना उनसे मेरे बारे में कोई बात न करना हमसे।
Wow.
फिर लग जाएगी। Thank you so
Wonderful,
much,
sir.
thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful, sir. And on that melodious note, we would like to thank Mr. Balani
I
for
couldn't.
joining us. Hello,
Hello,
sir.
sorry, it got disconnected. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. So saying it's on that melodious note, we'll thank you
Not
so
at
much
all.
for
Pleasure.
joining us and
Thank you.
singing for us. So wonderful.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Shubham. Yeah.
And thank you
And
everyone for joining us. And
yeah,
we'll see you in the next episode.
lovely. Thank you.